Hare Krishna. So, okay, let me know if you are able to see my screen now.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Easy journey to other planets. We'll begin with preface. Anyone would like to read?
Mataji, I'll start.
Yes, Mataji. First page.
Pre-
Yeah,
Preface.
it's preface.
A living being, a living being, especially civilized man, has a natural desire to live forever in happiness. This is quite natural because in his original state, the living being is both eternal and joyful. However, in the present conditioned state of life, he is engaged in a struggle against recurring birth and death. Therefore, he has attained neither happiness nor immortality. The latest desire man has developed is the desire to travel to other planets. This is also quite natural because he has the constitutional right to go to any part of the material or spiritual skies. Such travel is very tempting and exciting because these skies are full of unlimited globes of varying qualities and they are occupied by all types of living entities. The desire to travel there can be fulfilled by the process of yoga, which serves as a means by which one can transfer himself to whatever planet he likes, possibly to planets where life is not only eternal and blissful, but where there are multiple varieties of enjoyable energies. Anyone who can attain the freedom of the spiritual planets need never return to the miserable land of birth, old age, disease, and death. One can attain this stage of perfection very easily by his individual effort. He can simply follow in his own home the prescribed method of Bhakti Yoga. This method, under proper guidance, is simple and enjoyable. An attempt is made herein to give information to the people in general and to philosophers and religionists in particular as to how one can transfer oneself to other planets by this process of Bhakti Yoga, the highest of all yogic processes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay. So, what is mentioned in the preface? A living entity, especially civilized man, has a natural desire to live forever in happiness. This is quite natural. So, we all know, none of us can anyone say that, okay, I want to be miserable, I want to be in sufferings. No one will say. Everybody will say that, okay, I want to be happy, I want to be free from all kind of distress. Why? Because this is our natural state. We are, it said, Anandamayo Vyasat. So we all are seeking pleasure. We all want to be happy, blissful. This is quite natural because in his original state, the living being is both eternal and joyful. So, actually, in our constitutional position as spiritual beings, we do not suffer. There is no suffering, there is no disease, there is no misery, there is no anxiety, and so on. But presently, we are in a unnatural state, and therefore, just like Gurudev mentions this example from Prabhupada's books only, that a fish out of the water is like, you may give a nice bungalow, nice food, nice sofa, and so many opulent things to the fish, but it's not happy because it is outside, it is on land, it's not in its natural habitat. But when it's back into water, then it's very happily swimming around. So similarly, we are in an unnatural state, and therefore we are not joyful. However, in the present conditioned state of life, he is engaged in a struggle against recurring birth and death. Therefore, he has attained neither happiness nor immortality. The greatest fear is what? Death. The greatest fear is actually death. Um, but when one understands that actually there is no birth or death for the actual living entity, it's just the body which keeps changing, then one can be, it is said that the example is given, a mouse in the a rat in the mouth of a cat, and a kitten in the mouth of a cat. For a devotee, death is like a kitten being carried by the mother for a joyride. But for a non-devotee, death is like a rat being caught up in the mouth of a cat. It's like death personified. So, the latest desire man has developed is the desire to travel to other planets, like to travel to moon. Then to the during Prabhupada's time specifically, this thing was very much prominent in news. Traveling to the moon. This is also quite natural because he has a constitutional right to go to any part of the material or spiritual skies. Such travel is very tempting and exciting because these skies are full of unlimited globes of varying qualities, and they are occupied by all types of living entities. So, in the material world, as per our karma, we keep changing bodies and we keep traveling from one body to the other, accordingly from one planetary system to the other, sometimes middle planetary system. So there are for total 14 planetary systems. So there are some which are considered as higher planetary systems, and then some are lower, and middle planetary system is where we are right now. So sometimes we have been traveling, we have been to the higher planetary systems as demigods body, or some higher beings, or sometimes we must have also been through lower plant systems, like being animals, or lower species and all. So, in the spiritual world, similarly, we find a similar situation. There are so many planets called the Vaikunthas, and each of the Vaikuntha, the Lord in a particular form is being worshipped as a predominating deity, and the topmost of all these Vaikunthas is the Krishna Loka planet. Mm. This such travel is quite tempting. Okay, the desire to travel there can be fulfilled by the process of yoga, which serves as a means by which one can transfer himself to whatever planet he likes, possibly to planets where life is not only eternal and blissful. This is spiritual world, because in material world there is no planet where one can be eternal. I mean, the body cannot be eternal here. If it takes birth, it has to go through death. Whether it is a lifetime of Brahma or an insect. Some creatures may live for just one day of our calculation, and from our calculation, Brahma's life is uh, a big figure. So it appears to be like infinite for us, but for them, for Brahmaloka, the lifetime of Brahmaji is 100 years only. So anywhere, whether we go to Brahmaloka or Pataloka or wherever, if one has taken birth, one has to go through death. There is no one is eternal. But where there are possibly to planets where life is not only eternal and blissful, but where there are multiple varieties of enjoyable energies. This is the spiritual world. Anyone who can attain the freedom of the spiritual planets need never return to this miserable land of birth, old age, death, disease, and death. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These are the main problems. These are the actual problems in the material world. These are the actual problems. But when one goes beyond this material existence to the spiritual world, there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. One can attain this stage of perfection very easily by his individual effort. He can simply follow in his own home the prescribed method of Bhakti Yoga. This method, under proper guidance, is simple and enjoyable. An attempt is made herein to give information to people in general and to philosophers, religionists in particular, as to how one can transfer oneself to other planets by this process of Bhakti Yoga, the highest of all yogic processes. So, even in the material world, in order to go to the higher planets, for example, the moon, um, one we I mean just like foolishly the so-called modern scientists were suggesting or were wanting to go to moon planet by mechanical means, but that is not possible. That is not possible. There's a process to go there, and one has to go through that process, um, so that one can be promoted to the high planetary systems. Forcibly one cannot go. I mean, by mechanical means one cannot go. In a similar way, in order to go to the spiritual world, back to the spiritual world, back to Godhead, back to home, we have to follow the process. We cannot forcibly get in there. What is the process? Bhakti yoga is, by practice of bhakti yoga and becoming pure or pure devotees, one can enter into the spiritual world. Okay. Now there is a mention here that okay, he can simply follow in his own home the prescribed method of bhakti yoga. So, for a common person who has no idea of bhakti yoga, at least this is a kind of that okay, every time I may not be able to go to temple, so I can practice bhakti at home. It's not that I have to stay in the temple to practice bhakti, because many people in general have this um, wrong understanding that okay, bhakti devotee means you have to give up everything and stay in temple or something. So it's not like that. One can practice at home. Now for our understanding, we should also understand, we shouldn't take it as an excuse that okay, I'm at home, I'm practicing at home, I'm chanting and I'm offering my food to the Lord, and like that I'm just doing it at home, I'm doing good. No, we also need the association of devotees. We also need to engage in selfless service, because at home I may cook something, offer it, but I know that at the end of the day I'm the one who is going to have it. But in temple, when we do service or some service, a selfless service like book distribution, for example, you know that you're not going to, let's say you have taken something for offering to the Lord in the temple. So there is no guarantee that you will get it back. It may be distributed to others, sometimes in festivals and all. So this is something selfless service, or something like book distribution is selfless service. So one has to engage in such selfless services. So we shouldn't take it an excuse that I stay at home and I just do my chanting, reading. Okay, that's done. That's important. At the same time, we need devotee association. As 4 o'clock time we were discussing that it's not so easy to practice bhakti individually. That's why Prabhupada has created this society. So we need to understand that we have to be connected to, by uh, visiting to temple, visiting the nearby nearest ISKCON temples, and engaging in different practical services. Okay, the anti-material worlds. Maybe we'll just do a little bit and stop. Anti-material worlds. Okay, I'll read this, then we'll open it up for discussions. Materialistic science may one day finally discover the eternal anti-material world, which has for so long been unknown to the wranglers of gross materialism. Regarding the scientists' present conception of antimatter, the Times of India, October 27, 1959, published the following news release. Stockholm, October 26, 1959. Two American atomic scientists were awarded the 1959 Nobel Physics Prize today for the discovery of the antiproton, proving that matter exists in two forms, as particles and antiparticles. They are Italian-born Dr. Emilio Segre, 69, and Dr. Owen Chamberlain, born in San Francisco. According to one of the fundamental assumptions of the new theory, there may exist another world or an anti-world built up of antimatter. This antimatter world would consist of atomic and subatomic particles spinning in reverse orbits to those of the world we know. If these two worlds should never clash, they would both be annihilated in one blinding flash. Oh, I don't understand the last line. If these two worlds should never ever, should ever clash, they would both be annihilated in one blinding flash. Okay, so uh, from few scientists, not all, but some scientists um, have also, I mean, they also believe in something antimatter, though they don't know what is that antimatter, but they could understand there is something beyond, so-called atom, proton, neutron, and all. There's something antimatter which is quite different from the present material things like atoms and all. However, they have no idea about what it is, or the spiritual world. They have no idea about it. But further, we'll see what Prabhupada says in this connection. So for now, I'll stop here. I don't want to extend it, because we may not be able to extend it right now. Okay, I will open it up for discussion, and I encourage everyone to at least share some point from something related to this or what we discussed. You may highlight something, or if you have any queries. And it's better we keep it more for discussion than just reading it. Who's going to go first? Okay, Pramila Mataji. How to understand that Krishna will reveal himself to his pure devotees and we can see him face to face? Can we say that during chanting we can see his glimpse, or how much will explain? Yeah, that we will get to know when we actually have that experience practically. Now, it's the same as, you know, but at least we can understand from what the acharyas mention. Just like, okay, at least we can understand when we are chanting, when we are uttering names of the Lord, Krishna is personally present in those holy names. Now, but we don't have any experience of it. But if we see that particular verse by, I think, Srila Rupa Goswami, who mentions that when I utter the names, when I utter these holy names, chant these holy names, Krishna is dancing on my tongue. So I am desiring for thousands of tongues, so that I can taste a little, taste that little bit more of that nectar. And my one tongue is not enough, so I'm desiring for thousands of tongues. And similarly, when these sound vibrations are entering into the holes of my ears, what my two little ears can hold, so he's desiring for many years, so that he can actually taste that nectar. And similarly, when the sound vibration enters into my heart, my mind is completely, my something is turned and my mind is completely conquered by transcendental wonder or something like that. Exactly, I don't remember, but from that experience we can see what he's sharing. From that his experience we can see, or what he's desiring, from that we can understand, okay, this is something, how it is. But how we are not tasting it, we are struggling to even focus on the holy names. So what we have to do, we have to at least aspire for that, because Mahajana Yena Gata Sapanta, they have chalked out the path, so you have to follow the path and understand that, okay, this is going to be the destination. Faith in the process is very important. That's why the 9 stages of devotional life, the first comes faith or shraddha. So yeah, we have to see from the life of great devotees and continue our practice. Did that help to some extent? Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, Nisha Mataji, living in this society, how can we avoid the association with non-devotees? Yeah, we have to be first of all determined and little bit tactful. Now, avoiding association in the sense we can try to give. Now it depends, somebody friends for example, then if some friend is calling that okay, let's come, we'll go and watch, we are all we are doing a get together and we are going to watch a movie together or something like that. All college friends are doing get together, something like that. So you know very well that it's going to be, you know, I mean there's nothing spiritual related to that. So one can try to avoid it, that okay, I have some work or something like that. So this is something can be avoided. Now the other thing is somebody has come to your home and you know, some relative or something, and speaking all this thing that thing about this person that person. Now you can try to turn that topic to something related to Krishna if they are ready to hear. Not everybody wants likes to hear. So it depends. Now in the family itself there might be, you may be living, for example I'm just saying, one is living in a joint family, so only one person is practicing bhakti and others are not. So how to avoid that association? You cannot just close yourself in a room. So whatever one can do, if there is unnecessary gossip, one can try to tactfully escape it. If it is not possible, at least within one's mind or softly, one can just chant Hare Krishna to oneself. So it depends upon time, place, circumstances. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Aditi Mataji and Nisha Mataji, you have anything to say?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, in the preface, it says that anyone who can attain the freedom of the spiritual planets never return to this miserable land of birth, old age, disease, and death. So, does this imply for all these heavenly planets as well, or is it just about the Goloka, Vrindavan, and the Vaikuntha planets?
Hare Krishna. Anyone who can attain the freedom of the spiritual planets. So it is referring to the Vaikunthas and I mean Krishna Loka is also Vaikuntha. So it's referring to the spiritual world.
So, in heavenly planets also, Mataji, there is distress?
Yes. Often we have heard stories even before coming to bhakti that the demigods and demons are having fight, and they had a fight like this or things like that, and Indra is considered as the king, and the demons keep attacking them and they have to keep fighting, and then if they get defeated they go to Lord Vishnu, ask for his help, then Lord Vishnu comes in some form or gives them some, you know, clue of how they can defeat the demons and so on. So I mean from this we can understand, yes, there is distress, there's also fight, there is also anger, envy and all these things, but it is not so much as compared to the, you know, lower planetary systems, but they are practically, what do you say, sakama devotees means there are material desires, at the same time they are devotees of the Lord. There are Sakama devotees, Akama, Nishkama devotees, no material desires. They just want to serve Krishna. So that is the higher platform. But here, demigods, they have some material desires, but they seek shelter of the Lord.
Thank you for explaining, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your question, Mataji. Anisha Mataji, do you have anything? No doubts. Okay. Okay, then we'll close for now. Maybe you'll have to have a dinner and all that. So we'll not extend this evening class much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your association, for joining, and for the discussion. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.